Hello everyone, welcome back to Undermine. So, it is halfway through November. Oops, seems to be using the skeleton runner. Okay, fair enough. I have a new post. Lying sugar. Now, apparently, there's just an abundance of lying style products. Okay, so two things. I have literally just now added a thing to the server to let people very visually know when I'm recording. So when I push one of these buttons, it gives out a message, and it changes my team on the server so that I actually appear as red in the list. And other than that, that's about the newest thing here that I'm aware of. Anyways, if we wander down here, flowering fields. Oh yeah, there's interesting stuff happening down here. Whoop. Okay, I'm a little concerned. This wall is getting all sorts of covered in stuff. Ooh, okay, that one's apparently from a few days ago. Ooh. Yeah, that is... yeah. But our main job today is this. So, the Down Under Railways presently services the East, West, and Southern halls. It does not go to the Northern halls because the Northern halls were built after Down Under ceased development, pending my renewals of it. So, we're going to be rebuilding it, and as you can see, this one is pretty massive. The one in Eastern is smaller, so let's go have a look at that. And, oh boy. This guy's name is Sans. This guy's name is Papyrus Mark III. I think this one's called Dinnerbone, though, isn't he? Okay, I'm a little confused. Yeah, if we... Oop. That would be Nin down there. And somewhere that's Pigman is somewhere around still. Anyways, through here we have the Eastern Halls installment of... Oh wow, we're getting a lot of them. The Eastern instance of Down Under Railways, which has one rail per, and I think Kyle was intending to have these go into bays like the last one. Ooh, ouch, there's a... ouch. Although friendly, it's friendly, I hope. If it's not friendly, then we have some concerns. This, I presume, was done to get the villagers in, because a lot of people like to use rails to get the villagers into places, including stealing them from the Overmine village, which is really, really, really high up. And that's an interesting log. I wonder, is the, yes, the forest clearer is still here. I put that in because it's kind of important that people have wood, and it really, really takes a while to get wood if you're just using various tools that you can build up. So I decided to just give that an unbreakable diamond axe of efficiency 5. Helps people get through the trees that much faster, and get on with all the other stuff that they could be doing. Which has the cutest voice ever, makes me think of little kittens. Oh, that is adorable. Yeah, the way I'm going to be redesigning this is that we're going to have basically a stop point for a single cart, because these railways aren't really under heavy enough usage to justify having more than one stopper, more than one bank, if you want to call it. And then just, you'll push one button to go in one direction and one button to go in another one. In theory, I could have it be 3 directions, but that's a lot more complicated, and that would be, so that one over there, or that one over there, straight across, in which case I'd probably have to install a rail line going underneath the air tree. And I'm also, of course, going to have to build a new line going to the northern line, the northern halls. So, who knows? And that will be our remake of the Down Under Rails. So let me get to work actually building that, and I will see you all in a moment. Whew. Welcome back, everybody! So, 3 out of the 4 stations are complete. The 4th, I kind of have to build from scratch, more or less, because, interesting bit of history for Undermine. The Down Under Railways were originally built near the start of the server. The Northern District, was built by hand by players afterwards, and unfortunately the Northern District was also built after Koala Kyle stopped building, Down Under Railways, to more or less wait for me to do these. So, consequently, there is no pre-existing rail line going to the Northern District. I had to build that myself, so I'll save that for another time. But here we have it, and it's fairly straightforward. You grab a chest, you plunk it down, you push a button to go whichever way you want, and then a piston comes up and knocks this block out a bit so that we can eject in one direction or the other, and then after a little while, this piston pops up and pushes it back into place so it can continue to go each way. And there are these detector rails on either side that trigger most of the same circuits for these, just it doesn't trigger this to light up either. And that just causes the opposing side to block open so that you come rearing in here and you stop dead in your tracks. You do have to come in at some speed or else the blocks don't quite align properly. But let's take a ride over to Western Way. So let me see, Western Way, you just push the button in the direction that you want to go and then it ejects the one behind you. So here we go. It's a little bit jerky because my original design called for more or less a wider area that I don't have, so I had to compact things a little bit on the fly. The rails inside of the stations are also covered in these half slabs so that everything stays pretty secure. Just carry with that with me and put it back later. Yeah, that's one thing I could probably do with is some kind of system to distribute the carts back, but that would require either a lot of hoppers or some complicated redstone involving a hopper cart. So, yeah. But here we are at the Western version. Unfortunately, we had to do some troubles with the mushroom hut, the mush stand, which has evidently been rebuilt since I was last on. So yay, mush stand is back. Good to know. The mush stand was here from like day 1, for at least week 1. So yeah, pretty good, pretty good. Look at what happens when one-man redstones. Entire businesses are destroyed. The people upheaved. Loud gasp. Rip in pieces of mushroom, food place, humorous. Yeah, we did have to suffer a bit of collision whilst we were working on this. So consequently, a few things had to be moved around. But I think it is for the betterment of all that we get the stations working. Aww. How sweet. So, let's take another ride. Hop on over to the... Well, we can't go to the Northern District because the line is incomplete, so we'll have to pass through Southern first, which means we go back the way we came. I have just this, like, past 10 minutes, had to restore a piece of the railway, because it turns out Paper Craftian, otherwise known as Kyofushin on this server, hijacked part of the Down Under Railway lines to transport villagers. So I kept getting dropped into a villager holding cell when I tried to come back here. So off to the east. But yeah, this system works pretty dang well. The actual like rail lines themselves don't really need to be changed much at all. Although I think they might be in need of a little bit of efficiency improvements. Beyond that, I think they're okay. Zooming past a thing. I'm gonna have to come back and check that out in a quick second. Yep, there's the slime elevator. And here we are to the east. Perfect. Gotcha. Ha! So yeah, it's a little bit faster than walking, partially because the railways are always in, the stations are all inset into the holes, and partially because you can't really take a very straight line path through there. But yeah, it works really nicely, I love it, and I'm going to hop into not creator mode, spectator mode, to show you a little bit of the redstone, because it might have been a bit tricky to see in the time-lapse, I know. So when you push a button, one of these pistons gets extended. The dark green here is for specifically input from the buttons. So it triggers this redstone line here that goes into these comparators. And when the signal stops coming out of these comparators, the signal gradually degrades, so it's a sort of delay, if you will. And those power this block here, or this block over here, depending on which button you push, which triggers one of these two command blocks. I did have to resort to using command blocks in this construction purely by means of saving space. I know that's strictly speaking kind of cheating. In fact, it is definitely cheating, but if I was building this in an area where there wasn't a whole ton of people around, I probably would have done it legit. I would have used crisscrossing wires to do the trick, but it ended up being that I had to use command blocks just to make sure I didn't run into people's houses quite as badly. In fact, I think somebody's house has actually been run into over the side here. No. I think it must be in the eastern halls, the western halls. I did have to shuffle this particular station along a bit just to avoid hitting this apple farm. So, yeah. But, let me see. So, when you trigger one of these command blocks, they do a fill command, basically. They do a replacement fill command, which I don't think I can check in spectator mode. But it pretty much just replaces one of these stained glass blocks with the equivalent of hardened clay, thereby allowing power to run through, triggering the appropriate pusher out there that knocks the block out so that the system can actually then eject you. And it also simultaneously activates the sticky piston at the back here, because of the wires on either side, which sends a slightly delayed and long signal to the powered rail, causing you to be catapulted off on your journey. When eventually this signal runs out and the power gets reset, so the hardened clay gets replaced with stained glass, this pulse generator down here gets triggered, sending a pulse over to this piston extender, which then shoves the rails back into position. Apparently, when I was building that on camera, you could see from the time-lapse there was quite an audience for me building all of this. Apparently on the TeamSpeak there was quite a succession of gasps when people got to see that for the first time. And then, if you are arriving, then you run over this detector rail, which triggers this piston, which sends a different pulse into here, which just triggers the command blocks, so it just causes the pistons to jump out like that. Normally, does not trigger the powered rail, so you don't get reversed if you are arriving into a station. So that just makes sure that you actually stop when you're coming into the station. Works pretty well. There's like the occasional bug where if you mash the buttons, then the piston ejectors come up and they get sort of stuck. They get caused, like stuck into position. In which case, pushing the button then just ejects them. But that's easily solved by just pushing the button and then the piston just comes up. Works fairly well. Here's a Missum. Hello. Not sure what they're up to, but yeah. So that is how the system works. I really wish I could have done it entirely in survival, but it works fairly well inside of here, I think. I know there was one person's house that got a little bit messed, but I think that must be on the other side. I think that was Clover's. I also don't remember. But yeah, there's a house that I kind of need to offer repairs to. Not the door, but I want to go. So, there we go. So yeah, that is the new version of the Down Under Railways. It's a lot more user-friendly now. It does only cater to one person going down a given stretch of line at a time, but the Down Under Railways don't see enough business for me to be too concerned about that. Not sure what's... here we go. Yo! I know exactly where this is going to land me. Yep. Tally-ho! Hi. Yeah, this is Keo's doing. Need to fix that. Or Keo needs to fix that, at least. Now I need to find my way out of here. Well, I will see you all next time. Next time, I believe, might be an event. I've been trying to have an event go every month here in Undermine. So next time we might be doing the event for this particular month. But either way, hope you've enjoyed. I shall catch you all next time.